Test, test. Blackberries that leaves keep turning black and falling off.
It's the wrong season right now for blackberry. So
Well, I know, but it's done it all. I have it even through the winter and in the spring, and we spray that copper stuff on it.
Also worm tea you can spray on it too. And that
Tea?
might help. Worm tea.
Worm tea.
Yeah. Basically, it's worm casting. It's what worms.
Okay.
live in.
It looks like it's like mildew rotting is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like a...
Try the copper. The copper's not working, so try worm tea.
Okay. Thank you. We had great
Really.
Thank you, how y'all been? Okay for yourself.
Today.
Let me see. Oh, God. No. Oh.
If I don't offend you, next time I'll
Next
try
time.
it.
How interesting. I guess that's like a market I'd never stumble upon. Dirty. I'm Amy. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Oh, thanks. What's your name? Oh, I was like, this is my dad, Christo. And, yeah, I've been here a lot of times. I was like, oh, he's with Farmer Bank. I was like, yeah. Farmer Bank.
No, my name is Ben.
And then Farmer. You're a farmer.
7 acres and 10 people have a grow.
Test, test, test. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Morganelli,
Here.
Councilmember Hartle,
Present.
Vice Mayor Womack,
Here.
and Mayor Weinku.
Here, thank you. Alan, do you want to do the prayer?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Gather me, if you will, join me in praying. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you as we look back this past week of our celebration of the 4th of July and those who have given their lives, sworn duty to our country, our founding fathers as we look back. We look forward to those in Texas. Father, my heart bleeds for these people, cries for them, this tragedy. We ask that you give them comfort. We ask you be with the rescue crews that are working to find those who are missing, to find some kind of being able to resolve things that have a settling in their life of a lost person or child. We ask that you bless us continuously as a town. All we have to do is look around and see how other people are affected, and we are so, so blessed. I ask that you be with the council tonight, the agenda, those who are here to participate and listen and give comments. We welcome those. Give us wisdom, that of Job, in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on. Let's start out with, anybody like to talk to the council about anything that's not on the agenda? Come on up and go ahead, you first.
Jerry Brown, 15978 Wyndon Bluff. Thank you for visiting Willow Ridge the other day. It was welcome. I invited everyone, all the different kinds of Willow Ridge residents, and I think a lot of people were surprised that you would come. So I think like I would have had twice as many if they were, but we still had over 20, which I was happy with. Also welcome any other council member who wants to join us in Willow Ridge. The door is open. Okay, so with that, I had 2 follow-up questions. Unfortunately, Sean Parks isn't here. One of them was directly towards him. is it possible you could relay to him? The question I have is regarding the enhanced landscaping that he suggested, and he said that the turnpike was open to. The question is that given for everyone who might not be, this is creeping down on me. So basically, we're never going to get, we kind of like internally priced that would be, at least $10 million, maybe $20 million. We've contacted Ron DeSantis' office, the governor. It's very, very steep uphill. But one thing that seems that we might be able to do is if we can get as many evergreen trees planted along the turnpike as possible, as opposed to the deciduous, because we would want the year-round sound protection. Furthermore, one of the places that we walked during the meeting that the Willow Ridge Walk with the mayor was there's about 5 to 6 houses that are within 120 feet of the turnpike with a 25-foot decline on the turnpike. If you have a traffic accident going at 75, 80 miles per hour, we might be seeing some of these kids in Willow Ridge dead. I mean, if you were to actually look at it on when cars stop there, you can wave to them, and you can almost like see what they're saying. So anything that we can put in there, if we're never going to get to the wall, this is not only a sound issue. There's 5 to 6 houses there, which I believe it would fall into a dangerous, potential dangerous issue right into their backyards. So if you could, I was hoping he would be here to try to get an update on that.
He had to be in Tallahassee today, and he's supposed to be driving directly here, so there's a chance that you could still speak with him this evening, and if not, I'll definitely relay these notes to him.
Okay. So ideally, from our perspective, it would be, maybe like a giant thuja or something. I think there was something mentioned how it should be Florida trees. It doesn't have to be a giant thuja, which is I think what is up to zone 9, and we're like maybe 9.5 or something like that for the planting zone. So it's very, very close. It's definitely northern, but any kind of evergreen we'll be very, very happy with. Any kind of year-round evergreen, dense as close as possible, we'll be like thrilled with. We're also trying to really get the neighborhood together to sort of have a neighborhood wall of trees, and then houses like mine. After my last meeting, after my last time with you guys, the HOA approved me having a wall of trees along a thuja line of wall of trees along my backyards. So I think it's those 3 things will be substantially better than what we have now. So, and especially like you said, there's 5. It's like I've been to their house before, but going with the mayor right to the backyard, even I was blown away by this is more than just a sound issue for 5 to 6 houses. This is a safety issue. So, and the second side of this was that another place that we walked to was actually, I think it's covered under a 180 agreement. There's a mini water treatment thing. Like I said, this I don't think it's on, or the neighbors don't smell anything, the neighbors don't hear anything, but one thing it does have, it's really like, we're trying to have like a really, really nice community, especially the homeowners, and it's like right on the border hanging over, and the just any kind of like prettiness of landscaping around it will help a lot. I mean, even you can see from the sidewalk, from people stepping to their houses, it looks even more worse. So
you're talking about the houses, Paul's involved in this, that are below the wall.
Yes.
For the water treatment plant.
Where we stopped off is one of those 5 to 6 houses that I lined from. So I was talking from the back of their house to the turnpike from the Google Maps directions. It had like 140 feet, but if you actually go from their back, the end of their backyards, we're talking about less than that. So, but then the 20-foot drop as well. I mean, you can do the math of like you have a tire going, coming off at 100 miles per hour crash. There's no barrier there when you start going to that speed. Especially since it's uphill too. So soon there will be nothing to slow it down until it actually hits something. So those were the two issues. I'll leave it to the council. These are issues I brought up previously, but I think there's greater context now that the mayor visited, the one thing I can tell you is that Willow Ridge, we love our community. We're becoming closer knit every day, and anything to help us out will be greatly appreciated.
Well, I had took away from that meeting the canopy trees. We needed more definition on that. And
can I answer? There's a lot of times in the builder was instructed to put live oaks or something, kind of oaks in the front yard. I was actually doing the research, and I'm not sure. I think the builder lied to us and didn't actually plant live oaks, and they might have planted elms instead. But still, the question it has is that when there's compressed in the front of houses where there's a lot of plumbing, having more of a definition, like do crepe myrtles. Crepe myrtles have a canopy, but they don't have a canopy that goes up 50 feet, 40 feet. So if that, I know that I would have a dozen neighbors that would instantly pull, because if they are live oaks, then 15 years from now, all their plumbing in the front is going to be tossed. It will all have to be redone, given the incredible root structure. But the builder really didn't know what trees to do, so they basically just did like kind of these template trees, which might have been very wrongly chosen. And thank you for bringing it up, Mayor.
And I also asked the Turnpike for both of these, the canopy tree definition and the jake breaking. Is that a problem on the Turnpike? And they did know the answer. They said that they don't have any rule at all on the Turnpike for jake breaking. Mm-hmm. So we really can't get anything there. But we'll get the definition of the canopy trees. And the Turnpike was very friendly with saying that they're not in that part of the engineering yet, but we will help decide what goes behind Willow Ridge, not only by the Turnpike, but in between the Turnpike. So at this point, I'm kind of excited about the lady in that. Stephanie's her name. She was the one translator from the Turnpike Authority to us, and she did a good job so far.
Yeah, I mean, to us, I mean, it's like I said, I didn't realize the second dimension of that until actually that walk. Mm-hmm. To hear that the guy said, I mean, great couple, I love them, but they basically said, we're afraid to put a play area in our backyards. Mm. I mean, not just the noise of 90 decibels, which 90 decibels is listed as being unhealthy for children for periods of 15 or more minutes. With the jake break-in, it hits 110, and that's just random. But however, though, the instant safety issue of to these 5 or 6 houses, I think they're kind of shy, as you could imagine. They don't want, they're probably their house published. But if you look on the map, there's 5 or 6 houses, which is very, very clear and very, very dangerous. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if we can do the right canopy, the right trees in between on the Turnpike side, it'll help mitigate a lot. So, and then we can fight this secondary issue, because I think according to the Turnpike definition, you actually need 100 feet of landscaping if you're not going to put a wall. So we're not going to get to the 100 feet of landscaping per FDOT regulations. But however, though, anything that we can do to mitigate it would be greatly appreciated, and especially because I know that this council is limited in terms of these state issues. But however, though, as limited as you feel talking to these Turnpike Commission, they do not take us seriously. We can call them one after another, and we've tried, right? And it doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. So it's just, hearing it from you guys as opposed to us, Trust me, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier for you guys to at least say, "Hey, common sense here." And then you say, well, with these the plans were made before this development was built. Okay, some of it's true, right? But however, though, when these people bought the house, the turnpike was since moved 20 feet closer to us, and it was moved 20 feet higher to us. So it went from actually being, to like really. And I mean, if buying a new house, there's 1,000 things to worry about. And if the builder says, "Oh, no problem," they send us emails. But this isn't, obviously there's nothing we can do with the builder, because if it's not in the sign-in packet, we can't really sue them too much.
Well, I think we got some traction right now.
So,
we'll keep you up to date on it.
Yeah. Any help that you can give us, we'll be eternally grateful, because other than that, our community's come together, great group of people, and so thank you guys for listening.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
When you spoke to the Turnpike, did they give any indication when they might, any kind of a timeline when they might be doing that?
A year.
About a year?
And that's their best guess.
That's their best guess.
But they're wide open arms to help us, I can tell you right now. And Sean did an awesome job, and it's all documented. So now I'm trying to get Taylor to get involved in it. Yes, and I wanted to talk to Sean about it first, and True now, and see if we need him. Come on up.
Yeah, and just council real quick clarify, since Sean's not here, the Turnpike Authority has not designed any of the landscaping plans for the Turnpike yet, because as you know, it's I think a up to 2030 project.
Yeah.
So they talked with Mayor and Mr. Parks, and that the town will be a part of that process of design and get input to help try to mitigate those issues along there.
Can we maybe get a little head start on that? So that when they're ready, we already have something to present, an idea?
The Turnpike is very programmed wise. Everything, it has a schedule and a list, and they stick to it. So we will get to that part, but they won't put anything in until they're to that stage.
Right, but the moment they're at that stage, we have something to present. That's what I'm saying.
Well, their design people will reach out to the town and us and the neighborhood and get the input as they're doing the design. I think that's where they're going with it. Yep. So we'll stay on top of it.
Good evening. My name is Sally Tiley from 16702 Highland Avenue. I was making sure I wasn't going to step on anything that I'm going to ask about, but I see this really long list of projects, and it kind of surprised me that Lake Street and Highland Avenue haven't been included in the projects for paving. I have a picture of my son looking out the window as they paved the latter part of Highland. It used to be dirt. I believe he was 3 years old. He'll be 41 in August. And it hasn't been repaved then. And in addition, Lake Street and Highland Avenue were used as the detour while the traffic circle was being built. And I can tell you, those two roads took quite a hit. The asphalt on the edge is cracked off. We have holes, depressions. And the third thing is that roadway, even though the traffic circle has helped some with the traffic flying down the road, I'm afraid that it hasn't helped all of it. And we have asked years ago for speed tables to be put on those two roads, especially right before the stop sign on Lake Street. I've nearly been taken out several times by people that don't stop there and just swing wide. I don't know how they miss seeing me, but anyway. The other thing is, we were told years ago, the fire chief was saying, oh, we can't have speed tables because of the fire truck. Well, I don't know if y'all know the grade going up Highland, but if that fire truck can get up enough speed to hit a speed table and really do some damage, I'd like to see it, because they're not going to be able to go that fast up that hill. And I would hope that they wouldn't go that fast down Lake Street, or they'll be in Lake Florence. So I was wondering if we can ever get those two, or single, I guess, projects on the list. We don't need curbing. We don't need sidewalks. People, they walk right on the side of the road. If there is a sidewalk going in, it definitely needs to go on the school side of the property. And if you put in speed bumps after what happened to us during the detour time, you're going to need to put some kind of poles on either side of the speed tables, because our neighbor had people running into his yard because they didn't want to go over the speed bump that was temporarily put there. Also, the stop sign, maybe rumble strips coming down the road could get their attention. There isn't a great deal of lighting up that road, so something. But I think it is time now, when I look down and see all these things, they're nice, some are decorative, but I think it's time for a practical look at those two streets. And I will say, down on Lowry and the rest of Highland, where they both dead end, there was some talk about putting sidewalks down there, which I'm sorry, that's a bit laughable. If you've ever been down there, there are quite a few trees. And since nobody wants to tear down a heritage tree and they don't want to have roots lifting up sidewalks, it doesn't make any sense on those two narrow passages to put sidewalks. So I would like to know, I came down here about a compactor shaking our house, and I never heard back from anybody about what the town was going to do as far as possibly passing some kind of code on compactors. And there are different levels of compacting on a compactor, plus water can be put in a compactor to do similar jobs. So just out of curiosity, has there been any progress on that?
No, none that I know of. Did we have anything moving forward on that?
No, I do have it on the staff list to look at. I think we had 2 complaints about it. It does add significant cost to a project when you take compaction away, vibrating compaction, because you have to do things in thinner lifts. So we just need to get analysis to really see if, I guess I'll need direction from council, because could add significant amount of money to all of our projects we're doing as well. Highland Lake Street is going to be looked at as a part of this project on the 455 project. So it does say 455.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah,
that
number
had
14, but that includes 455 up Lake Street, part of Highland. It may not go all the way to Highland, but possibly part of Ridgewood as well. Just depends on. We're waiting to see what DEP will approve us to do, but for sure. For sure, Highland will probably get included in that project because it ties into the 455. And speed tables we're talking about a little bit later here on the agenda on H.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's on H on discussion items there. So yeah, the repaving. So if we do Highland Street, it would be a combination of some type of guttering and some curb, and probably will include a sidewalk down it on one portion of it. So. And as far as the sidewalk down Lowry, as far as all I know, that was just Facebook gossip, I guess is the best way to call it, because there was nothing the town ever had planned. The town never had a plan to put a sidewalk down Lowry because there's no right-of-way.
The rest of Highland, which dead ends down in quite a few trees down there, I'm just saying a sidewalk in that area would be not a great idea.
No, Highland to Lake Street to Ridgewood is the area we're looking at, so people could come down that live in Alpha and Mag Terrace, be able to have a route into town. Then that would also tie into a trail or a path that we're working with Montverde Academy to go around the backside so people can get to downtown from that area.
Okay, so I'm not here in Lake Street, but I'm sure.
I think part of Lake will be involved in it. We just don't know the scope of the project because we're just still in an approval process from DEP. So I know for sure Highland will easily be tied in. Lake will just be, it's questionable, but it probably will be able to be tied in.
Well, just a suggestion, I would bring up how much heavy traffic was put on those 2 roads, which were never designed for all the traffic it got for quite a while, actually.
Yeah, understood. The money we have to do, it'll actually be stormwater money. So if we can tie it in with the stormwater project, that's how we'll be able to get it complete, because it'll actually be stormwater money that will do it. If not, it'll come out of the general budget
Okay.
here with the town.
Just
So-
hope you're going to put some asphalt speed tables as part of that project.
So, yeah, we'll discuss that here shortly. Coming
Thank
up.
you.
So, real quick, I wanted to touch base on that, about the Lowry sidewalks. That was in the CRA documentation. That's why it sort of, it took off on Facebook, because it was in documentation that we provided to residents, that's all.
Yeah, I think it shows it in the old sidewalk plan. It shows a sidewalk, I think, in every single street, just about everywhere in town, so that's where it came from.
I know, it was in there, that's all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, that's our engineers used the wrong map, didn't they, on that? Because that wasn't supposed to be part of that CRA.
Well, what they did was they put the sidewalks plans in the CRA document. They put that sidewalk walk plan in there, and I think it had a section of
Right.
Lowry in it. And I think that was done before Lowry was actually designed,
Yeah.
redesigned.
That
so.
was a mistake on their part, yeah.
No, right, I get it was
And
a
we didn't pick
mistake.
it out.
Yeah.
It was, that's why it gained traction, was because
Okay.
people saw that, and that's why it gained traction.
And that makes sense. All right, come on up.
Jim Lay, 17328 First Street. I want to thank Paul for his infrastructure work on Truscott Park. And I also wanted to mention very briefly that I have a dead palm right on the edge of First Street in the right-of-way. It has no leaves whatsoever on it anymore, and it's a 35, 40-foot pole. So I don't really want it to see it come down on its own. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Which one of you guys want to come up? You can come up, come on up. Come on. She's just fixing your microphone. Caroline's fixing that for you. Okay.
I'm Christy Anthony, 1850 Kirk Island Lane, which is Smith Island. That's what I want to talk about. We originally found the island back in September of 1988 when we were doing the job during the hyacinth research out there. And when we did the job, that's the first time I ever knew it was there, even though I lived in Winter Garden and had a boat. And I said, man, this place is beautiful. We're going to get this thing. So I found out that Bessie Smith owned it because her husband, was Neil Smith, when she was a widow of him. So I found her. It was sort of funny because I found her at her daughter's house, and she said to me, she says, come and see me tomorrow. I don't want to talk in front of my daughter. She says, but I go to McDonald's every day at 9 o'clock, so come after. So I came there. She says, well, I want to sell. I said, because it wasn't on the market, so I said, I want to buy the property. And she says, well, I want to pay off all my bills before I die. I said, why do you care about dying? She, about paying them off. Because her husband, you probably know this, her husband left almost everything to Bob Jones University. So anyway, so it took us 4 months, and her attorney, I remember the last thing we offered him was $300,000, and the attorney calls me up the day before, because we did several offers, the day before, and he says, it's worth $1 million. I said, this is like a Popka. I said, this is not like Butler. And he goes, okay, let's close then. So anyway, so we moved out there. It's a beautiful place, so that's the beginning of it. So I got the rest of this written down a little bit. So as we got older, we realized we needed to make long-term provisions for keeping the island natural, as it is with no growth. Because at one time, Ginn was in Bella Colina, he wanted to buy the property, which we knew it was going to happen. We would like to offer the island with all 7 structures, 1 acre on land side, and our 43-foot barge after the passing of my wife and I to the town of Montverde with an approximate value of about $7 million. This will be held in trust until then. A revised trust is being handled by our trust attorney, Joseph can't ever say his name right, Perpicopo or something like that. This agreement will be sent to you from our attorney, and you will receive a copy of this portion of our trust if you accept this offer. The only conditions of this from us, and it'll all be in this thing, was that we have a family cemetery on the island. So we need to have any blood relatives or spouses could be buried there and visit the island any time without paying to get there. We talked about that, didn't we? Anyway, we're going to rename the island, which we're not sure what you're going to have to do. And our family can use the landside boat dock and the boat ramp. And if it is ever going to be sold, leased, or ownership transferred, it reverts back to the blood relatives. That is it. That's a happy thing. Yeah, we really want to keep it. You know, you're the one, really, because we're like 12 acres. You said to me how many times, you need to put that in that. You need to put that in, because we're not going to give you that. We want to put that into the thing. So we have 1 acre. We're going to have it surveyed off if it all goes, which is plenty of room. And on that 1 acre land side, there's a four garages, part garage, and there's another building there, 2 other buildings there. So it's nice. And we know originally we had it in a family trust for 320 years, but we got out of that because we had to have all the blood relatives had to sign off to get out of that thing. So we're out of that because we got thinking, and the family agreed with me, that, our family would take care of it, but 50 years from now, you know how renters are. We all know about renters. Anyway, so we decided we're going to do something that we know is going to be held, and I talked to Joe about this, and so that's where we're at. So.
One question for you.
Thank you.
In this agreement, do we still keep the buffalo? Oh, give me a home where the buffalo
Yes.
roam? Thank you.
My daughter was just asking me, she said, the buffalo's going to stay there? I said, yeah.
Well, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. One morning, I woke up and got a call from a guy in Mag Terrace that the buffalo were in his front yard.
They've only been out about 8 or 10 times.
They swim.
Oh, yeah, and they swim good, too. Let me tell you. They're not like cows. They just like right across the lake. I remember one time he got out to Waldrop, we're on his property now, got in his grove there, and I couldn't get him back in. I had to call a trapper who had a dog and a gun and a whip, and he says, you go out in the lake, you'll see them coming back across. We had 11 came across. So I waited a while. I hear the dogs going crazy, and they came back across. 10 of them did. We never found them. And then the next day they came back again. This time I went with my gun shooting in the air, and they went back. They did it like 3 times.
I remember I called you that morning, and you said, I knew that young bull was going to cause trouble.
Yeah.
He said, you said he swam off the island, and they all followed him.
Yeah. And then with the last one we had got out, we had one I brought from, I was trying to get more buffaloes on the island, so I brought some from Ocoee, where I have them too. And I didn't realize this one, a female, had a calf, and we didn't realize it, and it was on a Friday. Saturday morning, my son calls me, he lives on Sugarloaf Mountain. He says, somebody called me, the sheriff's department, in the middle of the night and said, there's a buffalo walking down Kirkland. I said, oh. So, yeah, that's the one. So he eventually got to Bella Colina, and the sheriff's department put a helicopter up for an hour looking for him, but they couldn't. That's when they were just building it. So finally, I got I got a trapper again, and the trapper said, you find somebody, because what he was doing, eating the plants at night, the new houses, and during the day, he'd go back in the woods. You find somebody that's seen him within 30 minutes, we'll get him, and they got him too. Yeah, I could write a book about them.
I guess we'll get with you and figure out couple meetings and figure out how we can execute it.
We're rewriting it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I would say, just council, I just want to make sure everybody's okay with the mayor, and myself, and the attorney working with Mr. Anthony to put this together for the future of the town.
Yes.
Would we need any kind of a...
We'll bring something down the road as we work through it.
No
I just want to make
problem.
sure
No problem.
everybody's...
I like the song that says, where the buffalo roam, they've been roaming, so, yeah.
That's a beautiful gift for the town, and it'll be a treasure for future generations for this community.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
thank you so much for thinking
Absolutely,
of the town.
and I think we need to...
Yeah. We'll get, Mayor and I will get with you, and what we'll do, maybe we'll all sit down and maybe try to get together, and because we, not at all, you never do, but yeah, we want to make sure we understand all your wishes and desires, and we'll work with you. So thank you.
I think we need to name it
Soon.
Anthony's Island.
Yes.
Come on up.
Farmer Banks Helfrich, Clay Road District, South Lake County. Farm tip of the day, even in the hot, humid months of the summer, you can grow crops, black-eyed peas, okra, watermelon, peanuts, and believe it or not, you can also grow loofah. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, happy birthday, America. We are 249 years old. We are the longest current government charter in human history, which is incredible. So what does it mean to be an American? If you look to the person to your right, if you look to the person to your left, if you look at yourself in the mirror, we are all from somewhere else. That's right, even the Native Americans came over on the Bering Strait many centuries before many of our European ancestors came over over the Atlantic. We are all immigrants, in fact. We are Cuban, we are American, we are Irish, we are Canadian, we are Haitian. I could go on and on and on. We are a melting pot of culture which brings many cultures together, brings their food, their dance, their art, their community, their traditions, their religions together. We are the United Nations in work. We are also an experiment, the only experiment that's ever happened where people come from different countries to live in one country. So what does that mean? We have come here to live together, to love together, to govern together, to worship together, and to be together. So the next time you hear someone disparage an immigrant, remember that they are talking about every one of us. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich. Thank you for allowing me to speak. May you all be blessed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, I gotta move this forward. Let's see. All right. Well, anybody else? Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. Okay.
Mike Whidden, 17635 Broad Street. I want to thank Paul, the mayor. Lakeside is finally being, I'm really looking forward to that. You know, it's going to be nice where two cars can drive down the road and not hit each other. So thanks for getting on it right there. I have one other concern too. We're talking about playground equipment for Kirk Park. That price seems awful high. We're talking $300,000. We're talking about one bid. I think we need to go back. I know the visionary committee did a lot of work and it looked nice and everything like that, but you know, we just need to take a look at that too. And we also need to look at the liability. What if some kid does a somersault off one of the, the town's going to be responsible for it. You know, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, I just think there's a lot of stuff that we really haven't looked at, you know. So I appreciate if the council could, you know, take a look at that right there, cost-wise and liability, you know, and things. And only one bid. That just seems kind of funky. So that, and maybe Paul can get us going to where Waste Pro can come out maybe once every quarter where we could do a hazardous waste disposal right here in town, you know, or maybe twice a year. You know, just, you know, some oil. I'm not talking tires and batteries and stuff like that, but just, you know, pesticides and stuff that's laying around the house that, you know, so something to think about. So thank you.
Thank you very much. How did we leave that at that meeting with the 300 grand and the playground equipment? Are we going to have that come back to us?
Yeah, that'll come back to you. And it hasn't been out the bid. We just got a price. And, you know, I've done a lot of playgrounds, and, I mean, they're all going to come in that ballpark range. And there's a lot of comparison. I mean, it's actually a pretty good value. But long story short, I'm meeting tomorrow with the committee. And we're going to look at that and bring that back to council with a couple different options to get it in that 265 price range. So I've been working with them to get there.
There's no grants for that?
There's grants, but they're a little. Florida does offer one. It's really competitive. It's once a year. There's a couple of ones out there that organizations like Verizon and Kaboom do and things along that line. But it's one of those things that even though I know 265 is a lot, the work and effort and some of the grants on playground stuff is pretty intense for the bang for the buck, I guess, of what you'll actually get as a match. Unless you go into more of a $500,000 to $100,000 to $1 million playground.
Are we able to get multiple bids?
Yeah,
we
we kind of want to get a little direction, but yeah, we'll put it out and get a bid on it. It's kind of part of the challenge is we're going to create a scope without actually having an architect or engineer design it out, because this project will go through the roof, when you kind of do it, I guess, in-house a little bit. But what we'll do is we'll put a scope together based off of what we see on this price and try to get some quotes from other companies for comparisons and matching.
We do like a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Like this year, phase 1.
Yeah, and actually at the budget meeting next week, we'll have a little bit of chat about it, just because I'm doing something similar to that. If you want to pursue it where we can do a down payment this year, then just move the money we have until next year, because at this point, because of Montverde, we can't do it until after Montverde anyway, so we got a little bit of time before we go there. But yeah, that'll come up at a future meeting, probably in August sometime, and we'll chat a little bit out on the budget meeting.
Alrighty. I want to follow up on Mike Wooden's suggestion. Lake County used to do that years ago, would come to each on a scheduled time, come to your community for that. I don't know if that's an option, or if Waste Pro still would dabble in that or not. But I like that idea.
I'll check in with Waste Pro, and the other thing I've really been meaning to look into, I just haven't got to the point here at the town hall. I used to do in the past other communities, once a year we would have a shred day where you can bring 1 or 2 legal sized boxes worth of papers and shred, just kind of for a safety community. And usually you mix it in when the town's got some papers to go through, and that way you could really save on that. So that's something else I'll look into as well as doing in the near future.
And just so everyone was clear, that money it can only be used for playgrounds. That's, I think you had mentioned at the last meeting, right?
Okay, so there's 2 pieces to the puzzle, and I apologize, until I started preparing the budget, I didn't remember on the general fund. We have part of there was 100,000, 110,000, 15,000 that we had on park impact fees going toward that. And so that can only be used on playground and park stuff. The other 150,000, it was in the general budget that we put in parks, and I didn't recall this, and actually talking with Mr. Hartle, it reminded me, and I looked back on it, the 150,000, the prior council designated that anytime we collect code enforcement fines that exceed the expense of what it is, that the council would take those fines and put it in something that benefits the community as a whole. And so that 150,000 is actually code fines that have been collected over the last 3 years from various code fines, and that's why originally when we did the budget this time last year, the council decided to put that money into the park as its code fines, and that would be a benefit to the community. So that helps it. So really, it's kind of targeted money, both of it, where that's the intent of it to be used for.
Maybe the county wants to buy more land for the new fire department. No?
You need more to put all those turtles.
That's how we built the sports courts. That's how we built the sports courts. Okay. Let me try. Come on up.
If I could pardon, now that Mr. Parks has
Go
arrived.
ahead, yeah.
Okay. I was earlier. I spoke about that the last time I think we talked. It was about enhanced landscaping on the turnpike side of between Willow Ridge, and the second side of that was that after like the walk with the mayor to some of these affected houses. Some of them are barely 100 feet from the back of their yard, looking up 20 feet to the turnpike. so that when the car stops, you can literally like have hand conversations with them, if not read their lips. So the point is that one of the neighbors really brought up that they're actually afraid to build like a playground in their backyard because basically there would be nothing stopping a traffic accident over there from basically the debris coming fast at a potential child. So given that the turnpike wall is going to be a very tough, long, possible, I guess the football term, Hail Mary, but maybe if we had the kind of enhanced landscaping to the point, especially like an evergreen tree, as dense as possible, especially in those problem areas where it actually goes over the community, it would be fantastic. So the question was like, what kind of tree? Definitely, I believe I believe it would be an evergreen, which would have year-round sound properties as well as debris properties. So if when you ask like something like maybe, I don't know if Thuja Giant is even though I grow in my backyard, and so a lot of the community is that after I spoke for a while, I went back to the HOA and basically said the township loves more trees. So then they finally approved me getting a wall of trees behind my backyard. So Willow Ridge, I think we would love to have like 3 layers of trees. We're not going to get to the 100 yards of sort of, sound mitigation, FDOT recommendations, but something's a lot better than nothing, and something's definitely needed.
Mr. Mayor, would it be okay if I could maybe have Mr. Parks contact you directly, maybe discuss kind of some of those issues you brought up just for the sake of the meeting? Sure. Would that be okay if I just put him on touch on phone? Or?
Yeah, we can do that. And I'll just very quickly say that, so I talked to Nicola LaCory, who runs the Turnpike Enterprise, and so she has told me that later on in the process here, as they started nearing completion, they are going to have us have a lot more input on enhanced landscaping. So at that time, that would definitely be, we could start talking about species. It'll all be native, Florida native.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be the time. So there will be time to provide that input, absolutely, and we will make it as dense as possible. Yeah.
Do you have a rough ETA for this?
I don't, and I'm careful about that because as soon as I say it, they'll prove me wrong. But they've definitely told me, and I really trust Nicola that she's going to keep us involved. So
I've been emailing her.
For follow-up, should I follow up in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months?
I mean, I think it's safe if you don't hear something in a couple months. Yeah, ask about it again. But believe me, I'm going to be looking for it, and as soon as they let us know that they're going to be doing it, I'll let the town know and you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other side is basically there is a mini water treatment thing right on the border of, it actually cuts into the Willow Ridge, and that there's absolutely no like landscape in there at all, and it's really rough looking into
That's
it.
a dry retention area?
It's the water for the hills of Montverde.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could comment on that real quick. So the Hills of Montverde does have agreement with the town to do some landscaping on that backside as a buffer. The plant hasn't been cleared yet or tested yet or turned over to the town, but before it turns over to the town, they will provide some landscaping in that area.
Do you have an approximate ETA for that?
I'm shocked it hasn't happened yet, so I would assume it's going to happen before the end of the year, but probably sometime this summer.
Okay.
Before summer.
But they're not using that right now. It's just
yeah, but it's really an eyesore. I mean,
yeah, it is. I saw it. Yeah.
I mean, it's from the sidewalks on both sidewalks and from people's houses. It's far worse.
I'll follow up with the developers and see if they have any updates on it. I think they're getting closer to wanting to use it because they just had the county out and did a bunch of water testing. That's kind of why we had a little bit of the bubbles in the water, or the air in the bubbles, because they were flushing all the hydrants out there 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'm always available. Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks. All righty. Does anybody else want to talk to the council? Okay. Go ahead and explain your list for Paul, or go through yours.
Yeah, I'll do my town manager report first, Mayor. First, I just wanted to, in your packets is an updated grant tracking sheet for you. And I'll let you guys look at that, and if you want to get back with me to comment if you like anything else provided in that. I did make some changes after our other meeting. But unless you have any questions, I'll kind of move on from that.
That's where no, that's.
Yeah, this is just the overview of the grant tracking, so it lets you know. So these are the total of all the funds that we have available, where they're at in the process, how much we spent to date, and how much we have remaining. So you can kind of track. So it's just an overview. Again, I keep very detailed spreadsheets in the office if any council ever wants to come take a look at those.
If you guys remember, we asked them to put this together, and it's been refining every month now, and it's pretty easy to follow now. And if you look at your budget, you went from 5.8 to 4.1. We returned 4 million, I think? 1.4 to the county that we talked about back in December that we couldn't keep. So that's how most of that money came out of this month here in June. But this is really easy to follow. I tell everybody to follow it, you know. It's what we spent, what we had, what we spent, what we submitted, what we were reimbursed, and what we still owed, pretty much.
And the next sheet in your packet is just our highway patrol activity log, just for you, so those are in your packet. Then just going down my normal town manager reports. A couple things I just wanted to let you know that the town audit has been completed and turned into the state and filed and uploaded on our website per statute. And at some point in the near future, once the auditors get some time, we'll have them come do an audit report for you and give you that information, so that's available. Just to let you know, we staff has been looking into, when I say staff, our accounting and our front desk and permitting, been looking into some different software to help maybe streamline some of the permitting process, public works requests, and the code enforcement. As you know, we did a new software about 3 or 4 years ago. It's been very good, but we're kind of getting so busy on some of those things. We're looking for something that'll be a little more interactive and have some more alerts to kind of keep everybody on track when things get lost. So we've been working and looking into those and doing some demos. We're in the process, as you can tell, there's been some changes in here. We're transitioning over part of the library is going to be closed down. We are going to have staff in here for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be doing some work in the offices. We're at that point. We have all the laborers here, so it's nice and cheap. So we're going to do the transition of doing the old office and getting some of that fixed up and ready for the transition over into the new library, hopefully in August sometime. We did receive, I was very happy, I think we received 7 bids, Caroline, for the mowing? 7 bids for the mowing, for a new mowing contract. So we're going through those now, and look like we had some pretty good companies bid on that, some pretty nice bids. So we're going through those, ranking them, and bringing a recommendation for approval for you for a new landscaping mowing contract. And again,
Paul, may I interrupt a quick question?
Yes,
just for FYI, I don't know if the council was brought in on this also, but our conversation was that I know in the past we've done piecemeal of things. We do this, we do that. They do mowing and edging and, you know, that kind of stuff. I think you had shared with me that the new contract will be inclusive, so they plant, they pull, they edge, they work on water problems where sprinklers are broken, so our staff isn't having to be tied up spending, you know, a day fixing sprinklers that 2 days from now are broke again. Is that assumption on the contract that was somewhat included in that? And
yeah, that's correct. And you know, my theory is versus we're spending so much public work time on simple maintenance and lawn maintenance and things along that line. So the mowing contracts is more all inclusive. So it includes the weed spraying, the fertilization, the mowing, doing the hedges, the butterfly garden, for instance. All that is included. Putting the mulch down, doing the flowers in the downtown where they supply them, they pick them up, which takes a lot of stuff off my plate. Because right now what we have is we have our mower guy, we have a kind of a landscaping guy that comes in, we have our staff, and we have me all involved in this process. So we're trying to get it down to one simple process and do a company that has the capabilities to do that, where has the size and the manpower to pull that off. And I think I was very happy where the prices are going to come in. I think it's going to be pretty competitive.
Well, I know you spend a lot of time every year going to Home Depot and grabbing all the wonderful, beautiful things, and that's, you know, be nice to be able to say, this is what we want, go price it. If you grow it in-house with your own nurseries, that's cool, that's great. That would save us probably in the long run more money,
Correct.
and time is the big thing, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited because just the amount of time it's going to free up for the staff going forward, and I'm, you know, at the end of the day, I want a better product for our town. You know, we're obviously kind of hitting a different plateau as a community, and things are looking beautiful everywhere and continue to. And I think the expectation is a little bit higher to make just keep that standard, that Montverde standard, as I would call it.
Thank you.
No problem. Believe it or not, we kind of are turning the corners. We're finishing up the library stuff, and we're right in the middle of Montverde planning and sponsorship letters going out, getting schedules together, starting to get the maps because we have to get boards ordered and advertisements out to the newspaper. So myself and Sandy and my wife and the mayor and Claudia have all been kind of, we kind of always team that up every year and look at that. So we've been sitting down to kind of piece that together to go ahead and get Montverde Day. This will be our 100-year celebration, so we're really excited. Want to make it a great Montverde Day. We already got all the bands booked, got some great bands. We have a group of cowboys coming out that are going to do some reenactments of the great time the mayor was kidnapped. Actually, I think is where we're going with the reenactment. So the mayor ended up getting kidnapped out of this. So it'll be really fun. So we have a lot of great events. We're going to have some neat raffles this year and try to keep the raffle things up and have some more prizes and gifts and some giveaways for the raffles.
May I throw one other snag in your plan there? Since we are at month 7 and there's 12 months in the year, that means we're on the second half of the year, and at the end of the year this red guy in a suit shows up, and I was wondering if we were doing anything for 100th anniversary. I mean, he's probably what, 300, 400, 500 years. I mean, nobody knows how old he is. That we'd do something along Christmas for celebration of Ain't We Old or something like that. Here comes creaky old Santa or something like that. I was just, you know, because it's 6 months till Christmas, 5 months and days till Christmas. So
it's
I'd
coming.
throw that in your bonnet. So
yeah, we'll definitely be looking at Christmas too, and maybe we'll invite our 100 surrounding cities to come sit on Santa's lap or something too. Or but no, yeah. Once we kind of get Montverde Day, we always have a rush this time of year to kind of do the initial planning for Montverde Day. We have a little bit of time, then it gets really crazy, and I'm hoping to, I'm trying to transition this with a new library opening so Montverde Day doesn't become overwhelming, and because come September it'll start getting crazy for the town.
as a sidebar, if you residents have not seen our new Public Works building, that is a godsend when it comes to Christmas items and everything else. There's a place for it, and that was the best thing we did, I think.
Yes, and thank you, council, for approving that. Just a couple more things. I just want to let you know, on the 30th, I attended a county-wide and it was a city manager and county commission meeting and with some elected officials, and the whole point was to discuss the JPAs, and I thought it was a very good meeting. There's a few things that went back and forth, but really the whole point was how can we as communities work better together to be more efficient for our citizens and deliver better government. And JPAs are definitely a good way of doing that. Mr. Parks was there, and I appreciate him. He's been a great supporter of that. So we'll continue working for those and seeing how, especially as a county and city, how we can work together and to help make projects happen to make things better for both the city and the county. And really, you know, stop ending repeat services. There's some things we can do to help each other out. So I was encouraged by the meeting. I think it was a good meeting. I encourage everybody, it's online, take a look at it, watch it if you haven't, especially the council member, just so you kind of know where different commissioners stand on different things. I think it would be beneficial. And just want to let you know, if you've been over on the sports courts, they're doing some touch-up. The areas that had the concrete by the poles, the paint was bubbling a little bit, so they're pulling that up and repainting that and taking care of it. A couple citizens let us know about that, so that's being touched up and taken care of. And that's all I have for my town manager report. Any questions on that before I jump to the capital projects?
I want to say that Sean's been leading that JPA for quite a few years now and doing a great job at it. pushing the commissioners
Yes.
to take a look, real hard, good look at it. Appreciate it.
And during your commission reports, I definitely would love an update from you if you have any thoughts on anything out of that meeting. So mine obviously was brief, so feel free. Okay, let's jump through all our capital projects real quick. Library is progressing. It's a lot of little stuff you don't see, but right now the main focus is on the cabinets that are going in for the check-in stations, for the sink areas and things along that line. So the cabinetry is in place. John has spent a lot of time this week here trying to get things scheduled for the next stage. And we should start seeing carpet next week, John. Is that our thought? We're going to start putting some carpet down in some areas next week so we can start hopefully then transitioning to decorating and putting some of the library shelves up in the following weeks. So I think we'll see a lot of changes over there coming in the next few weeks. So again, thank you, John. He's worked really hard at that. Been a great partner to work with that on. The library emergency generator. This is a FEMA grant that Sandy was working on. It was an 80-20 grant. It's in the next stage of the good old federal process, so it's had to be posted and advertised for 60 days that we're going to take money to get public comment. So if any public would like to comment on money for an emergency generator, we appreciate that. Outdoor park bathrooms, that is on pause until we approve the right-of-way vacations and put a new survey down. So that's on tonight's agenda. If that's approved, then that'll, in the next month or so, we'll get that kicked back up with the goal of obviously having that ready for Montverde Day. The small water storage tank and pump house, again, John's been working on that as well for us. And the building itself, if you haven't been back there, the walls are up and did they start on the roof today? Later this week, they'll start putting the rafters and the roof on that. Chuck's got the electric ordered for that, for the building coming in. So again, this is the free $1 million storage tank that we got for the town. That's over by the butterfly garden. So we're just putting up the building that'll house the pumps. That was paid, the $100,000 to do that was paid by the developer of the Hills of Montverde. So again, no cost to the town residents for that. The community building, I've showed a couple council members a couple thoughts on that, did some walking. If I haven't done that with you, I've kind of lost track. Please get with me, and I just want to kind of walk that. We're going to keep that kind of an open conversation going forward. The fire station, last I heard on that, they're still working on trying to get the change order for all the turtles. I do have a phone conference tomorrow with their engineer to discuss kind of the last open comment on our review, which was the water pipe for their Kirk Park playground. Nothing new on that to report besides what I said earlier. Ridgewood Avenue, so this is from Lake Street up to Mag Terrace, and then in Mag Terrace around Florence View, both at the entrance. They started this week working on the sidewalks that will connect that neighborhood over to Lake. And so I assume everybody's seen the equipment out there, so they're going to start on the sidewalk on Ridgewood and then come around and do the ADA ramps on that. In addition, we'll also, there's a couple sections of sidewalks while I have them out there that we'll be fixing in Mag Terrace coming forward, so I'll send some information out on that pretty soon. Let's see. Lakeside Storm Avenue project, so they're still in the curbing phase. I assume everybody's taking a drive out there. I think they got the first block of curbing done. They're going to continue on the curbing for the next couple weeks. It's really slow because the curb is there's just so many utilities in the ground. We have, I think, 3 water lines running down that street of various sizes, for whatever reasons, serving different houses, and gas lines and communication lines. So that's going forward. There will be some times where they'll start doing full road closures when they're going to dig out the dirt and have to do compaction and all the things they need to do and get the subgrade in. Interesting enough, there is no gravel underneath that asphalt road, just clay and dirt. So there was no gravel ever compacted underneath there. Let's see, where am I at here? Porter and First Street Storm Project. So those plans are at a point, they're going to arrange a meet with me. So this is kind of the same thing on First Street, from 3rd Street to First Street, and a part of First Street doing the stormwater project on there. We're supposed to meet next 2 weeks to kind of review the plans. I think they're a little over 75%, and they'll wrap them up here in the next month or so for bidding to get those out the door. Nothing new on the boat ramp and the storm project. The Truscott Park storm and recovery. I know Sandy has been working with FEMA. She's gotten approval through a federal, and now it goes back to the state. So she's working with the state to get their approval. So this is a reimbursement from the storm damage, the trees and the pickup. Then it goes back to the federal for the final approval. So that's progressing along. And she's trying to get arranged the mitigation. The first step is in this process is what does it cost to fix what you get? They put that together. Then they'll come back and give us an option of what they'll cover to completely replace it and mitigate it with a stronger system. So that's going to, again, as I told, be a very long process to get through. FEMA is running really slow right now. So the 455 Storm Street Sidewalk project and 8th, 9th, and Temple, I'll just kind of include those in all together because we're trying to wrap that kind of all up into one grant project. And that also include parts of Highland, part of Lake. So that is still in the planning stage where they're having to put the plan together that sends to DEP for approval. And so it's not engineering, it's just the planning study that kind of says, here's our initial plan, sign off and bless it. So their deadline to submit that is in August. They're hoping to do the end of August. We're hoping to get that done by the end of July or the first couple of weeks of August and get their review done on that. And let's see. Well number 1, generator replacement. Again, just waiting on that for the approval. I think the other generator, I apologize, was for the library generator, and that's a part of our stormwater project that's being done as well. Elevated water storage tank, again, it's ready to bid. We're waiting for FEMA to approve the planning study on that. We did hear back from them that we're now at the top of the stack, so I don't know what that means. And Mascot just got their review back with just a couple comments and very similar projects, just small stuff. So I'm hoping in the next week or two we'll have an approval on that. And once we do have the water tower and the redundant well, which is on there, ready to go out to bid. The plans are done, so we'll just need about 2 or 3 weeks to get all the legal stuff wrapped up and put the bid together. Consumptive use permit. I've been working with the engineers over at Woodward and Kern. The state came back with a bunch of stuff they want to do, like we were Orlando basically, and I kind of pushed back on that because it was about a $200,000 study of additional work we would have done engineering for that. I pushed back. They've been in contact with DEP. They're going to back off that a little bit, and I think we're going to get what they want done now to under $100,000. So they're going to start with a more smaller study without going as in depth and see if that would satisfy them. So that's new since we've talked last. Loops and hydrants and upsides, again, the engineers are working on that till we get our planning study approved. So last I heard, they were still working on the Ridgewood section that goes Ridgewood to the north. And I think that's all I have. Everything else was completed on there. Any questions on the capital projects?
No, great job. Thank you.
I have one actually.
Oh,
yes.
So sidewalk's going to go down Lake Street and then turn right on Highland. Or are we not at that point yet? Because I'm trying to go back to the previous question earlier that was asked.
Yeah, so the council, from originally, there's always kind of been an intent to put a sidewalk that would go from, I don't know why I'm getting a kick. Would you mind turning that mic off there? I'm getting a little kickback feedback till we get the public comment. The intention would be we're building the section of sidewalk that goes from Mag Terrace to Lake Street. Then the goal would be that sidewalk would go from Lake Street down to Highland, then Highland into town somewhere somehow. And that not necessarily, it should have an on and off button on the top.
It's not going
I just unplugged it.
There you go.
There you go.
That's one way to get me to stop talking, I guess.
Yeah, so that may not be a part of the storm project. It may be. We just have to see if it would fly. If not, it would just be another project that the town will approve as a part of its general fund projects.
As soon as I turn it on. Anyway, all right. So is it going to go to on the school side?
No clue yet.
No clue. All right.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, if you look at where the road's at right now, there's no room to put it on the school side. We got probably an extra 25 feet to 30 feet of right of way on the other side, but not on the school side. There's just because of the telephone poles in the grade.
The only reason if you put on the school side, it would also stop all the parking then as well, the people that are parking along that street too. So.
And that may be a possibility that as we do the storm project, we can move the road over, but then the road's closer to the houses where then versus having a sidewalk closer to houses. So there's give and take either way. But, I mean, there's definitely, I think, a need for a sidewalk there. There's a lot of traffic or walkway that comes through there and probably will continue as the new developments happen.
Number 20, Paul, the consumptive use, how's the pushback and what are they basic direction? We know what they told us what we were at and what they wanted us to be at. Any tidbits or suggestions on that, where we stand?
So the biggest issue coming back from them, the most expensive one, is they want us to do an entire water alternative supply analysis. So they want us to look at every option under the moon and figure out how do we get where we aren't using potable water for irrigation. And so they typically want 3 different scenarios. They want it detailed, priced out. Then they want to run modeling, and you got to run, like, you know, one of those would be like a POPCA. So then you got to run that modeling by St. John's to see what you can really get for the permit, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we got them to do a base study. Then my next comment was to them, well, the council said that, you know, we have the funding in our $12.9 million grant we got for the water for a Floridian LFA well, or Floridian aquifer well, and that's considered an alternative water supply. So if we get this approved in the next couple of weeks by DEP, which is a whole different part of DEP, different agency, versus the St. John's is doing this rule, if we get that approved, then can we just say this is our alternative water supply, we'll commit to build it in the next whatever 4 years, why do we need to do analysis? And so that's where we're kind of walking, because that's already in the study that you guys approved. Going forward, so we're just waiting to see if DEP will approve that. So that's why I think we got it down, and maybe even go down more.
Did they give us any kind of a reasonable goals for our new goals for consumptive use drawback? I mean, we had it up here, and they said, you shall be here. And you know,
yeah, and then I guess the second piece, they actually want us to do some aquifer modeling. So that's another piece, not too bad, but enough where that's a big piece of the puzzle. So far, the modeling that we turned in and our requests for our water needs we turned in, we haven't got a lot of pushback on that. We're just getting pushback on the alternative water supplies, because we are a smaller community based off of some others. Recently, I heard, gosh, was it Growler? One of the cities actually, they got their consumptive use rejected. No, it was Leesburg. Yeah, they told them, no, you're not taking any more water out of the upper Floridian aquifer. You're done. And so they were shocked by that. And so now they're scrambling. So they are getting pretty serious about it. But I think we have a good plan moving forward on it. So I will likely, probably within the next month or so, our engineer will come and kind of give an update on where we're at with everything. And we're close where we're getting some things are going to be wrapping up, and I'll be bringing them back in here to give you guys a little more detailed update. All good stuff. I mean, it's moving along. So.
All righty. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
All righty. We'll move on to Nita. Do you have anything for us?
So we do have some new legislation that's impacting our local governments. I've been sending Paul a couple of the updates. One of the ones that we'll be bringing something forward to you on relates to final plats, and the statute now provides for final plats to be approved administratively as opposed to going through the public hearing process. So the statute requires that we appoint someone as the authoritative person to sign off on the plats if they meet the statutory criteria. So that's one of the biggest ones impacting local governments. I think in a positive way, it definitely moves the process forward. And by the time you're at final plat, you know, it's really just an administrative review to make sure they're meeting all the statutory requirements and code. So that's a good change, I think. Some of the other ones are just more one on permitting that makes it easier for fire alarm replacement systems to be permitted more quickly. And there are a few others. One on the Live Local Act will bring back some more detailed information at a future meeting on that. And that's all I have tonight.
When does the CO one go into effect?
The what?
The one where administratively they okay to see.
That went into effect July 1st.
Oh, it's already in effect.
It is. We don't have any final plats in the process right now, so we're fortunate. Otherwise, we would have put a resolution on your agenda this evening to appoint that person, but we'll bring it back later this month or early next month and get someone appointed to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sean, I'm going to our planner. Lisa.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a quick update. We've had, I think, a busier than normal last month, reviewing lots of applications coming in. I think there were at least 15 or 16 houses to review in Willow Ridge, and then lots of residents doing projects like fences and pavers and your typical variety of projects. It's been a busy month. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And our commissioner?
Yeah, so good evening, council and residents. My apologies for being late. I came directly from Tallahassee, meeting with the DEP secretary regarding VMAPs. So it was kind of an interesting long day for me, but more on that later. So a couple things. Last week was able to speak at the Florida Association of Counties. Had me right up on stage up front, much to my surprise a little bit, to a packed house to about 270 of my fellow commissioners from around the state, speaking on government efficiency with Eric Soskin, who is the governor's direct appointee auditor in charge of the state's version of DOGE, the DOGE that everybody's talked about. So I thought it was a good session, was able to get up there, talk a lot about what Lake County had been doing over the last 10 years, a lot of which I was involved with directly related to government efficiency, and was pleased that through our efforts was actually recognized by Eric Soskin from the governor's office as appreciative of very much so appreciative of our county efforts to be efficient, and got a lot of good ideas out there. A lot of some other county commissioners were able to come up and say, "Wow, we didn't know that you did that. That was a good idea." So it was a lot of when you go to League of Cities, you get to share and learn about what other cities are doing, and it's a good exchange. So pleased to be able to report on that, and Lake County was put in a good light on the state level for government efficiency, something that doesn't get talked a lot about sometimes these days, especially in a positive sense at least. The comprehensive plan we are well underway changing our comprehensive plan at Lake County. We had the series of workshops that are now over with. Thought were very productive. Those workshops will continue. There'll be a District 2 workshop coming up for all of you to participate, the residents, council members as well. That'll probably be the first of one. There'll be many that will be in District 2 and many around the county as we change. The county's comprehensive plan had not been changed other than ear-based amendments in the last 20 years. So this is unlike what the town just did, you did recently with your ear-based amendments. This is a complete rewrite of the comprehensive plan for Lake County. So the workshops that we had last month, which were great, exciting, there'll be lots more of those, so it isn't just going to end for those of you that were worried or you missed some of those great workshops that we had on agricultural lands and Charter County and growth management and roads, and finally JPAs. That will not be the last that you've heard of that. That's an ongoing process. Very pleased to report about JPAs. Thank you, Paul, for mentioning that. Something I've been personally working on for over 4 years, and thank you, Mayor, for recognizing that. A lot of great progress was made. A very historic day, in my opinion, on Monday, where essentially every city, at least that was at the meeting, agreed to move forward. Montverde's already been moving forward, has been a leader in this, and getting a JPA, a joint planning agreement, executed with the county. So now the hard work begins with some of the other cities in particular, not so much Montverde, moving forward to roll up our sleeves and get these agreements ready. Each city is going to be a little different than the other. For instance, Leesburg was a big player in the room, quite frankly, last week. They're concerned about transportation, so our JPA with Leesburg might be a little more focused on making sure that the transportation issues are funded up front before development occurs, and how to jointly fund road projects in the future. So very excited about that. I slept very well on Monday night. It was a big deal for me personally, but I think it was a good day for the county, and I want to thank Montverde, all of you, for being a part of that and being supportive through the years so much. sort of my only sort of negative comment or bad news is we continue to change our comprehensive plan and move forward. We're actually changing our codes in Lake County. We're going to do a form-based hybrid code, mix of some form-based code changes along with our zoning code to make it much more stringent in the sense to develop, protect for growth management issues that we're all been concerned about, because our county code in some ways is way out of date and is just not good in a sense for addressing growth. So that part is good, but I will not sugarcoat my comments here in saying that I am very concerned the erosion of home rule continues this year, and particularly, in my opinion, was particularly bad. I know Anita and I have talked about this a little bit. The erosion of home rule from the state affecting cities and towns and the county. Particularly, it was a bill called Senate Bill 180, which was approved, and that is supposed to expedite recovery of hurricane efforts by expediting permitting and all the good stuff that should occur after a hurricane hits or a bad storm hits Florida. But sort of buried in the language there is it also restricts a city, town, or county from enacting any stricter, more stringent code. And so there's no explanation on stringent or harsh, and I think there was another word that they used in the language. When they use these words, of course, that they don't explain exactly what they mean, attorneys find ways to interpret it themselves as to what that means. It's retroactive, so it is retroactive back to Hurricane Milton, and it will be in place moving forward. So what do we get every year in Florida? We get bad storms and hurricanes, right? So what do you think that possibly could do towards somebody like Lake County who's trying to enact new codes and comprehensive plan? It could be interpreted that we're not able to do that. So we could be going through this effort, and it could be thwarted because that bill is passed and it's law, and we might not be able to enact a new comprehensive plan and new land development codes because the bill says that we can't do it because a hurricane or a storm has hit Central Florida or the governor's declared some kind of an emergency. So personally, I'm very concerned about that and how it's going to affect our efforts moving forward. Maybe just a little bit of me whining, and we'll find a way to work through it, but all the more reason why, as when we talk about the erosion of home rule, it is a very real concern for the cities and the county and the public that's concerned about growth. That's what we have to deal with, is rules like that limit our ability to address growth moving forward as well. Sometimes for a good reason, bad actors around the state of Florida, a county or two that doesn't do something that goes to the extreme, or a city maybe probably down south somewhere that does something to the extreme, and the state comes in and steps in and they sort of overreact in some ways and hit everybody when it maybe should just be addressing the problem in those localized areas. So again, just something to be aware of, that it's the cities, and I'm sticking up for all the cities in Lake County and the county itself. Sometimes we're just quite frankly handcuffed on how to address growth as well. And the changes have to occur with letting our legislators know, be aware of sometimes when these things happen, and putting our opinion, which would be not at the end of session, but it would be coming up in this term. It would be November, December when they start meeting in committees. So sorry to end on a bad note there, but I think I've covered everything for now. And again, want to encourage anybody that's listening, be a part of the process. Lots of workshops to participate in moving forward with Lake County at least.
All right, thank you. I think.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the council. How about you, Joe? Do you have something?
No, I have nothing.
All right, Carol?
Yeah, just real quickly, and Paul and I briefly discussed it, and I just want to pitch it out so that the rest of the council members can give it some thought. Diverting the boat traffic with the oncoming new and improved boat ramp to Porter as opposed to Lakeside, since we have more residential area on Lakeside than we do on Porter to get to Third. So I just want to put it out there and let you guys think about it for a bit, and I will bring it back around.
Okay, yep,
Thank you very much.
alrighty. All right, Alan?
Yeah, a couple things here. Last month, Dietrich mentioned gun violence in children and how 7 per day die. And I wanted to thank our Dietrich as being South Lake County's chairman of a Democratic Party, that he may be able to help with some of the issues that we're having with Willow Ridge. But I came across a very even more disturbing fact to me is that affects all of us in the state of Florida. 9 people die every day in the state of Florida to aggressive drivers. And all you have to look is 5027 Turnpike, 417, 429, anywhere, and you'll see aggressive drivers. And when I drive for my company down south in I-95, I-75, it irritates the dickens out of me to see these people do what they do, which is totally preventable. And I am glad that the governor put in this new law that got signed about if you're driving above a certain speed, you go to jail. And I think that's great, because there's enough of these idiots that ride your bumper, whip in and out, and you see them down the road, and next thing you know, there's an accident. And that accident kills infants, children, adults, grandparents, single moms, single dads, and it is totally preventable. And I wish we could do more to pull these idiots off the road and take them to a place where they need to be, because they don't need to be on the road. That's a personal thing that I see, and it affects everybody, and it's really sad that it has to do. Town's looking really good. I'm glad we've been getting the rain. It's nice to see Lake Florence come up, or at least stabilize a little bit, where docks aren't underwater yet, but it sure is nice to see it from what we do. I don't know about you, but my wife tells me she gets irritated when she has to suggest that I mow the yard more than twice a week. So I'll take it any day. Town looks great. Everybody's doing a great job. It's nice to see Anita back. I'm glad you had a great vacation. You were missed. We had a good fill-in for you, so we weren't struggling, but it was nice to see your face back and that you got to recharge. So to that, I give you kudos. You need to do it more often. Thank you. And Mayor, back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I got a couple things. One thing I need everybody to start thinking about in my mind, because I almost saw a pretty big accident the other day. When you're coming by this gas station and you make that turn, you stop right there by the 90-degree turn. We know that you're supposed to stop there and that cars have the right of way to go in front of you. There's a lot of people in town that don't know that now. And I almost saw this truck wipe out this car, and I got thinking we might want to address that, because if you remember about 6-7 years ago, I was in a meeting with the county and with Fred and had mentioned we need to look at that, and the next day he had a stop sign there. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, we're not ready for it yet. And he did a great job, but it was just too fast. I think it might become time to, coming through the school, coming to the 90-degree angle in front of the gather, put the stop sign there. So everybody stops and then moves ahead. Because the cars that are coming down there and going that 90-degree turn are going to hit somebody even harder down here, coming out of the gas station. You know what I'm saying? Do you recognize what I'm saying? Like when you come out of your house, you come down, make a stop there. You know you're supposed to stop there. You know these people have the right of way. A lot of people don't know that. And I don't know if you're familiar with that too. Okay, I just want to put it on the table, think about it, go down there, look at it, and we'll talk about it later. But it's...
And there are a fair amount of people that stop at the yield sign, which just adds confusion when you have somebody sitting on the other 3 corners.
Right.
Because everybody's like, okay, who's going to go, and then everybody goes at the same time. Well, no, I was here for a time. Yeah.
Right, and you can put on every stop sign 3-way stop, something like that. But just throwing it out there because I've witnessed a couple of times. Everybody, if you don't know, the 911 lines are down, and they've been attacked, and even in Osceola County. So right now, there might not be any 911. They're telling everybody to text. if you have a problem.
Just out of curiosity, in that type of situation, does that affect our town's emergency, our code red, or I forget now what we're calling it?
We don't have code red. We
That's
use
all
Lake
gone.
County. You want to add to that?
Yeah, Jennifer, I should have put that in my update. I really
For sure.
apologize. Thanks for bringing that up. Jennifer got me as I was driving in, our county manager. You can still try. There are some calls that are now getting in, but it was a fiber optic line, so it was cut, and that was the reason why. But it is very widespread. It has been widespread, and the text is working. So the text is working, but some calls are now getting in, and I think it could be fixed pretty soon here.
I put it on our Facebook and on community
Yeah.
Facebook, but you need to tell people right now the 911's not working in case they need it.
Yeah.
And to text. Okay. That's all. All right, we'll move on. Beginning balance in our bank account was $5,834,765.36. Ending balance was $4,139,155.64. Move on to the consent agenda. We have all the A, B, C, and D minutes to approve. And if everybody's okay with it, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Move on to the selection of a new council member. So we had, let's see, I should have wrote this all down. We have Thomas has pulled his name out of it. Jim Peacock had pulled his name out of it before. We don't have anybody new yet applying for it. So right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have Mark Rubio, Marta, Judy Lay, and Grant Roberts. That's it, right? Remember it? Okay, so there's 4 people that are applying for the open new council member position. And this is where we just put somebody in the position right now to go until November. November, they're done. They have to, if they want to stay in, they have to campaign and win the vote. So I guess I'll open it up to council. If anybody wants to make a motion for anybody, go ahead. If anybody has something they want to talk about, bring it up. I'd like to appoint a person so we have 5 people in the next few months for the topics that we're dealing with. But the person won't get on staff tonight. If we did appoint someone, it'll be August, the first meeting in August.
I can make a motion for Grant Roberts.
Okay, I have a motion for Grant Roberts. I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Oh, wait a minute. Do a roll call. Do a roll call just to make sure we get it right. I'll go ahead, Anita. Sorry.
If you took public comment last time on this, then you don't need to take it again, but if you didn't, if you would please open it to public comment, since I wasn't at the last meeting where you talked about it.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So then before you would make a decision, you'd have to open it to public comment, please.
We don't have to do public comment then, right?
Before we make a decision, we do.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
All right, so wait a minute on the motion then.
Can,
Okay, okay, thank you.
Can-
All right,
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please.
There was some concern earlier regarding some outstanding affairs that Mr. Roberts had before the town. Is all of that taken care of?
Yeah, the code case is in compliance now.
So there's no open cases, nothing before the magistrate. We're all
So
good.
the case is still technically active, but he's in compliance with everything. The fine's been paid. He's fulfilled by getting the CUP. He fulfilled that requirement under the code. So as far as anything against the code, that part has been fulfilled. So his next step is to do the site plan. So basically, we haven't had a special magistrate meeting to close the code case out, but that's what we'll be doing at the next special magistrate meeting. So it is in compliance pending closing out by the special magistrate.
He is in compliance.
Okay, anybody public want to talk about it? Okay. We'll bring it back to council. I have first, a second. Madge, go ahead.
Councilmember Morganelli,
No.
Councilmember Hartle,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Womack,
Yes.
Mayor Weincoop.
Yes. Okay, so you'll, if it's okay with you, you'll start the second Tuesday of next month for council, and in your term will end November. All righty, well, congratulations. And thank you for appointing a third member. All right, let's keep going. The next thing is, we're not selecting the new planning and zoning member tonight. We have an open spot. We want to give anybody that wants to do it time to put their hand up and say, I want to do it. So I asked Paul if we could advertise it, real quick here, and see if we can get it on the second meeting of this month, so that we can get that person up to speed. So that's all we're doing right here, is if anybody knows of anybody that wants to be on the planning and zoning board, then please tell them to call the town hall, put their name on the list. And it's a great way to start and get into this whole council thing and understand the procedures. That's really it. I just wanted to make that announcement. Do you have anything else about it?
Nope.
Okay. All right. We need to select a voting delegate for the Florida League of Cities meeting that's coming up pretty soon. So that's where that person actually attends the meetings and votes for Mount Bird on any kind of issue they have. I know, Alan, you're going to go, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Do we need to nominate somebody? I
Yeah,
nominate Mr. Hartle.
Okay. Do we have to open that to the public?
Done deal.
All right, so
I've done that
you make a
before.
motion?
I make a motion that we nominate Mr. Hartle.
I know
If
where you
he's
guys
willing-
live.
if he's
I
willing
know,
to
I know where you guys
You
live. This is
second,
all right.
right? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes have it.
Opposed,
We
nay?
no, we didn't ask for nays, just sit there and say
Okay,
thank
so
you.
you're our voting member for the meeting next month.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm glad everybody's going to the meeting. It's not just a meeting. It's your opportunity to talk to other people that do this in local towns like Mascot, Groveland. All these people do it here. You'll be shocked at what you'll learn. Okay.
Well, I was going to suggest, Mr. Mayor, that when you run as a delegate for council, this is the other side of that sword that is very, very helpful. Yeah, there's a lot of, sometimes it can be political and all this stuff, but what you come away from is invaluable. I've done it for several years now, and you come away going, I never thought about that. That's an ingenious way to get revenue, or not to get revenue, or to solve a problem that you don't think we have, but they come around and go, yeah, I'm glad I went to that meeting. I'm glad I sat in that 30-minute session. You walk away with a lot of stuff, and it's butter on the bread, I guess you'd call it. So
I agree.
I've been impressed with it.
And then the vendors that are there have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And you can find a vendor that has things, a piece of something that fits this town at that meeting. And after when they go, you go to dinner and all that stuff, you're sitting next to people that are in, outside of Fort Myers, and you start talking, and you'd be surprised. You'd be shocked at what you learn. Okay. Move on to the Green Mountain Scenic Highway signage for trail. You want to explain that, Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Council. I just wanted to let you know that this was talked, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years that this started? Greg Gersheimer and was really the main force behind this, and they worked on getting a grant for some signage along the green, and this is the Scenic Byway Committee. Am I saying that right? And if I leave anything out, come fill me in, please. Anyway, long story short, they got some grant to do some signage that will go up around the park area. There's a total of 4 signs. They'll be back to back for 2 signs, and I have one of them over here. I'll just lift it up for you. showing some of the different ecological features and special things that we have along the scenic byway. So the town will be installing the signs. They were, again, donate free for the for town. I was going to put them up on the same signs like we've done on a roundabout, that nice cypress with the thing. And be really pretty. One will probably in the park area. And actually, since one's a map, I'm thinking of putting it up on the trail around the Willow Ridge area, which would make sense right there because that's going to be our connection as a town to get onto the trail system. So again, thank you for all your help. And I know you were a big part of that. I really appreciate that. So
For many years.
for many years, yeah. Jane, anything else about the signage? Yeah. So Jane, and I think Jim Peacock was involved in that as well. Is that correct? Yeah. So yes, thank you for supporting Scenic Byway. I think it's a special feature of our town, and we love these enhancements. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Move on to discussion of conditional use permit for the ISBA boundaries, and that's a issue that's going on in Ferndale, and Paul's going to explain the ins and outs of this one.
Sure. So as you know, there's an inter-service boundary agreement that we have for the Ferndale protection area that only allows one home for every 5 acres unless it was previous zoned. So that's the whole Ferndale area. And as a part of that agreement, and also what we're putting in the JPA, anytime there's a request from a changing in that zoning, they're sending those requests for the town for comment. Some of them are pretty basic, and I don't bring for council. It's just like, hey, I'm putting in a mother-in-law's suite or something, or a special sized barn or something like that. This one caught my eye. I don't want to bring it for council. This is, if you go out on Ferndale on the right-hand side, you see a kind of a big, they pushed all the trees down and put a big gravel parking lot, and it's full of septic tank, I think concrete septic things and trucks that are sitting there. I think just past the Ferndale Reserve, is that correct? If I'm thinking everybody. This is coming after it was done. I believe it's a result of a code violation because they didn't get permission from the county and the ISBA. And so now they're going through the conditional use permit process and to get permission to put this in there. My recommendation to the council, I don't support it as your manager for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't feel the flavor of the ISB that you guys agree to. It's a business, it's not a home. I do have concerns under the new Live Local that passed. I haven't got through the full legislation, but there is some language in there. Once it's commercial, it has some options to go into multifamily. I don't know if conditional use permits qualify for that. I haven't got through the legislation. I know when they were writing the legislation, it specifically said any type of commercial use, no matter what the zoning was. I don't know if that made it through the bill or not yet. So those are my concerns as your manager, but I want to bring that to you. Ultimately, it's up to the council if you would like Andy and I to oppose this during the hearing process.
Now, how did you say did you say you saw it and that's how you found out about it? Or did the county notify us?
Actually, the county notified us.
Okay,
It was
good,
wonderful.
okay.
I think I had a little issue with I passed the complaint on. Why is it there? And I think Sean may have took that and ran with it. So, because I was like, how did that show up on our ISBA?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you're confident the county's watching our ISBA? Because we already have one slip up.
We did have one, but this is good. The communication is much better. And really, I will say over the last 12 months, I know they made some personnel changes in there, and you could see a huge change.
Well, on our system, like the one you put together, I can't remember the name of it, where you click on a property and it tells you the information.
Yeah, the development in Lake, the app, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Shouldn't it have that on every single one of those properties that there's an ISB agreement?
I mean, it should have any application that it should be on that, the development application. You should be able to click on it.
Because it could be an honest mistake.
Yeah.
And then we're stuck with it,
Yeah, and I'll check on this one. I thought this one was actually pulled, but did you get this recently?
Yeah, I got this email too.
Okay, all right.
So I had an email for something similar, and it was pulled. And then this one is a new one that came through.
Yeah, this one's there.
Yeah, and the one from a couple years ago, he no longer works for the county. So that was
it was a big mistake.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
So, my opinion is, if we were to let this go through, then the next person's gonna say, you let that one go through. And we put way too much work in to keep this ISBA the way it is since 2010, and now we got 20 more years. And my personal goal was for people to build homes on 5 acres over there and make it a whole different Ferndale. And the Ferndale people, I can tell you the Ferndale people want that. And Sean saw it, and the people that were in that meeting saw it. Those people don't care about splitting their properties and selling them. They want to keep their properties. So I would just tell you that I personally am going to vote to deny it.
I agree.
Any more talk?
I agree with you.
Okay, we'll open it up to the public so we can vote one at a time. Okay. We'll bring it back to council. Need a motion?
I so make a motion that as a council, we oppose this conditional use permit in Ferndale.
Okay, I need a second.
I second.
Absolutely.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Well, there's our answer to the county. We don't want it.
Thank you, but no thank
Now, how
you.
does that work? Does each person, each city in the ISBA have to vote on this? Or just one denies it and it's dead?
No, they don't have to vote. This is completely up to the county to make the decision. They're letting us in the information if we want to object to it. So Anita and I, Anita actually will put an appearance in on behalf of the town, and we'll both appear at the hearing and let you know that, and let the commissioners know that our council has objected to this.
So
But
don't we want Mineola to be there too?
if that's their feelings, then yes.
So has Mineola been notified?
They should have, everybody in the ISBA should have received the notification.
So I don't want to assume that. I'll email it to everybody in Mineola
Sure.
tomorrow.
Then you probably let your Ferndale group know as well.
They don't want to grow it. Okay. All right, well, thank you. We'll move on. Pedestrian safety state appropriations. You want to explain that too?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Council, just I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. I want to back up to our stormwater project on 455 that goes from the roundabout basically up to Fosgate. So as you know, we have a planning study going. Our engineers are working on a planning study to go to DEP. That portion of the planning study will do some road work on 455. That will kind of take care of the stormwater and also expand some of the roads. I also let you know that I was in conversation with Lake County about using some Lake County impact fee from developers to help put some turn lanes in. That could be possible for that, because we have to, certain funding can only be used for certain things. So that was another piece of the puzzle. Another piece of the puzzles is possibly the academy working with us to get things we can't get covered with grants. The other piece is that we're working on a complete street program through the MPO that would allow us to put in lane dividers and extra things along 455 to slow traffic down. So basically some islands in the center, some different things that mitigate the speed along 455, maybe even a roundabout together if the council wants that, or some things along that line. The other piece of the puzzle that we had there was the safety concern. We've talked about the crosswalks could be better improved for visibility, and then the sidewalk connection that's kind of missing from Highland coming up to the school around the backside. So working with Woodward Kern and Morgan and putting this project together, I'm pleased to announce that the state legislators and Governor Ron DeSantis has signed legislation awarding the town $350,000 for the crosswalk improvement and sidewalk improvements as a part of that project. Thank you, Mr. Turnell and Yurkowski. They were the supporters of that project, and so another piece of the puzzle there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that funding is now available and approved as a part of the appropriation process.
Good job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so we're hoping to do some really enhanced sidewalk there with some lane dividers. It might be able to be elevated. We got to work with the county, but we definitely could do some good markings and really improve the flashing lights there and the style and the look of it to really make it a much safer, and definitely lighting would be another scenario in there. And of course that sidewalk connection would be done.
All righty, well, thank you very much. That's a good job. And
Thank you.
how about the next one? The Federal Community Project Funding Request.
Sure. So a part of that process, what's missing out of this process is kind of the funding to kind of do those island. We might be able to do some of the islands actually with the stormwater project if we have the stormwater drain into the islands. So we're trying to be creative to work on that. So we might be able, but there's going to be some missing pieces of the puzzle. So we do got the whole project as a priority. I think we're a #1 priority project in the NPO, but as I go to my county manager meetings, Leesburg and Ferries, yeah, our project's #1's been there for 14 years, so it's not an understatement. Things don't go well. But, I forget the name right here, Congressman Webster, so this is at the federal level. We are extremely pleased to be advised that Congressman Webster has submitted the following Lake County priority project, Montverde County Road 455 complete street project in the amount of $2 million. Specifically, the project was submitted as one of Congressman's maximum 15 allowed annual project requests. The next steps of the process will include subcommittee and full committee markups where, based upon overall committee allocations, actual funding amounts will be established. So this is a big deal. We're kind of in the first stages of a possible federal appropriation for 455. So, and Sean could speak, and he probably knows a little more about this process. And I really want to thank Fred because he's the one that actually helped me work on this to get this in there, and he's retiring. So I'm very sad to see that happen. So, but this is the first step of getting that $2 million. So I think the politics of trying to get some letter writing coming together, get some support from our community, from businesses and the school and everything along that line, part of that project, and hopefully we can get it pushed through this year. Any other thoughts on how to move in that?
No, that's exactly. I think that when the time's right, let's just write some letters and get some support in for that. So
sure.
Yeah.
And Paul, you said you weren't going to push for any more grants, but I'm sure glad you pushed for this one. Thank you. I'm just
I
joking.
did say that. Sorry.
That's all right.
So, no, good news. Everything is, moving in the right direction. Long as DEP gives us their blessing on that project, that's the big, keep your fingers crossed kind of thing. So, that's all I have on that one.
Yeah, that's good news too. Mr. McQuaid left, and here we're going to talk about speed tables. Speed tables on near Highland and Lake Street.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll actually, I think Mr. Morganelli has done a little bit of research and would like to maybe do a little presentation on this or discussion on it. And I'll let you take that and I'll chime in.
I'm not really doing a presentation, but I'll
or at least
speak
a
on
comment.
it. Yeah. Well, you heard earlier what the argument there was. What was happening with that particular section is when it backs up at the roundabout, and it's a lot of students, teachers, from the school. So right now it's probably not as bad. However, what's happening is people are racing down Lake. There's a stop sign at the bottom there. They're blowing through that stop sign, making a right-hand turn. They're slowly making that turn, but they're still blowing, the Florida stop, I'll say. And then they're racing down Highland. So Paul and I had talked about this, and he had mentioned that there are 2 speed tables that I believe are just in storage, sitting in storage. So I made that suggestion to him. We talked about it, and then before we talked with you guys and everything, I actually reached out to the entire neighborhood area over there. All but one resident got back to me, and there was no complaints towards doing that. So.
Now they know they're not speed tables. They're actually speed bumps.
We actually have some speed tables,
You do?
the ones we put on Temple. So you
I
can
would
do
call them speed bumps.
Yeah, they're designed to do 20 miles an hour over the top of them. And we do have the speed bumps that are there as well. So I think we have a couple of those left.
Well, no, they're fine. I'm just saying
Yeah.
the table I think is like it goes up 8 inches.
It's
goes
technically, you're right. It's a speed hump. We have speed bump, speed hump, and speed tables. So
There's 3, I didn't know.
So the tables, you can do the full 25 or 30. The humps are designed to 15 to 20, and the bumps are designed for 5.
No, it's been going on for years, and when the roundabout was going on, it was a nightmare down there.
I think it's just going to get worse once everything opens to that new Publix area as well. I think that's going to just open up even more traffic coming through there. So that's my presentation.
I remember having FHP down there, and they were laughing because everybody they were pulling over were students and mostly teachers.
Right.
And that's who it is. So yeah, so the question is council okay? You know, as you know, we did them on Temple. People loved them at first, but being honest, then as soon as the one person got the ticket and was out of there, everybody was wanting them out of there. It's always a catch-22 with those. I found how people love it, how people hate it.
There's a problem.
You know, if there's a problem, obviously that's could be a solution. I agree with the stop signs, a big issue there. If we do put the speed humps in, probably I'll put one on Highland, put one on Lake, then actually put I would actually put the 5-mile-an-hour speed bump. We can put it right over the stop sign there where the stop sign is. At least they have to do 5 over that. So that would kind of take care of that problem.
So I did reach out to everyone around. As I said, there was all but one resident that did not get back to me.
That's a lot.
Good job. Thanks for the effort.
Okay, so we're going to put them on? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I just would like council to give motion to authorize town manager to put in speed.
You need a motion?
I think so, yeah, just because
Well,
I
open
know
up
I'm
the
going to
public.
get the complaints back and I want to say council approved it.
Does anybody want to talk about this? Okay, bring it back to council. I make a motion that we put speed humps on Highland.
A second.
Comment.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We, when we did the town speed limit, we thought 45, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. People still don't do what we post the signs as, so I have no problem with this. I think it's a good idea. And that is, someone's going to have a serious problem there sooner or later. And I hate seeing it, but I think Councilman Morganelli was right that when Publix opens up, the more traffic coming through, it's quicker to go this way. And yeah, we'll either have our own permanent FHP sitting there and say, just fill your name out, sign the ticket because you're going to get one. So,
Well, that's sort of the hope too, is that this would free up FHP from having to sit there, so they could be used elsewhere in the town as well. That's sort of, it's sort of a long-term hope there that, we wouldn't have to spend the money for FHP on that section at least.
other than that, my comments are done, and I'm ready to vote if we want to go that way.
Need a second?
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. Speed bumps are in. Speed humps. Okay. we
Just
move
give
on
them my
to-
phone number if people complain.
Yeah. That's why I made the motion.
You just put your next speed hump in front of their house.
Alrighty, we'll move on. If you would, please, Anita, ordinance 2025-50.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, adopting the Town of Montverde, Florida Development Impact Fee Study dated April 2025, prepared by Wildan, adopting the Town of Montverde, Florida Water Impact Fee Study dated April 2025 by Wildan, in amending Chapter 16 of the Town of Montverde Code of Ordinances, incorporating legislative findings, adopting updated impact fees for transportation, parks and recreation, and administrative, adopting updated water connection fees, also referred to as water impact fees, providing for annual adjustment of fees, providing for codification, providing for severability and conflicts, and providing an effective date.
Alrighty.
That's a lot.
I'm not sure if we need anybody to discuss anything.
Sure, Mayor, just run a couple of quick, it is our second hearing for adoption, so if this is approved, it will be adopted. Ms. Tara Hollis from Wildan is here to answer questions, or her full presentation is loaded if you want to go with
I
longer
feel
than
bad
meeting.
she came all the way up here. We all understand them, I'm sure, but I'll open it up to the public. We're increasing the impact fees since for 7 years ago now. They're going up a little bit right now. And we've documented why for each one of them need to go up. And anybody want to talk about it? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Anybody want to talk about it? If not, we need a motion. This is the second reading, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my only talk about it is that I will stick my neck out, and I'm not sticking my neck out. I just think it was part of my job, too, as a council member for the last 7 years. We had discussed this, and for somehow it fell through the cracks that we didn't increase it every year to see it, and now we're to the point where it's a truly bad thing that has to be done. And I haven't been the greatest sleeping at night thinking, boom, we did a big increase. But if we don't, we can't capture what we need to capture from the different developments that are coming online. So if you wish to blame someone, I am 1/5 part of that blame for some reason, not catching or picking up on it. We always talked about it in April that it was going to be one of those things, and somehow one of those things just got past us for whatever reasons. But I have no problem with doing it, but I wish we just could have done it. Hindsight, I think we all think what we could have done and should have done, but we didn't do, but now we have to do is kind of situation. So I have no problems.
Is that like
going
what's
forward.
on first and who's on second?
Yeah, right,
Okay.
something like that, yeah.
Got it.
Well, maybe
So-
going forward, we can, I don't know, every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever is appropriate, to circle back around and look at it so that we don't get 10 years.
Well,
out
you
of
don't
date.
want to spend a lot of money on studies every year.
Well, I mean,
That
whatever,
was the other,
yeah, whatever. it
Paul
be,
needs
just,
to, our city manager needs to tell us, he goes and talks to the other cities and sees what they're doing here. And because really, I think a lot of it's bounced off what the other cities' amounts are. So, we've got to watch what they're doing. And would that be a good way of saying it?
That will be. And we did, just so you know, we did have normal CPI increases in our impact fees, but what's not calculated is the astronomical costs that specific items such as, I think Tara said this in her study, cost of pipe, was threefold, and asphalt, and, it's really from the COVID period on. And these take time. I mean, the council approved this over a year ago to start the study. It takes time to get all this data and stuff put together.
All righty, did I open it up to the public? I'll open it up again if I didn't. I'll bring it back. I need a motion or?
On the flip side, there's not
Okay.
a ton of future development, so we are capturing most of this at this point.
Yeah, this is our last shot, as you said, Mr. Morrell.
Yeah.
I mean, really catch it.
Yeah, like Osgood and
Right.
anything Bella Cleaner's gonna do, and then anybody who builds single-family homes. But it's starting to wind down on what we're gonna be collecting in the next
Yep.
few years. Our good thing in Montverde is the two big areas are gonna be, one's gonna be half acres, and the other one's gonna be whatever. I haven't even seen what they're bringing. And then the only thing left to build big here is 37 acres on Ridgewood down by the mobile home park. That's it. This town's built out. Done. I don't know, maybe correct me, I don't know any other town that's like that, that's built out. I think we're lucky, myself, because you really can't do anything to screw us up. Okay, enough of that,
I'll
but.
make
Don't you
a
wish the
motion.
county was built out? Don't you wish the county was finished?
I wish a lot of things for the county, yeah, but that would be one that I wouldn't have to worry about, yeah.
I'm done worrying about this.
Yeah.
All right, I need a motion.
I make a motion, ordinance number 2025-50 be approved.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. If you would please, 2025-57. Anita?
An ordinance of the Town of Montverde, County of Lake, State of Florida, providing for amendment of the Town of Montverde Charter by creating a new section that requires a supermajority vote of Town Council of any comprehensive plan amendment that increases the allowable density within the municipal boundaries of the Town of Montverde, requesting the Supervisor of Elections to place the ballot language on the ballot for the November 4th, 2025 regular election, providing for severability and conflicts, providing for inclusion in the charter, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, so I want to make a statement here. So the people here got to go out and tell people. We can't talk about any of this once we pass this. So any charter changes, right, You want to explain that a little better than me?
You can individually, but not on behalf of the town. And we
Okay.
can't spend any town funding to educate the public on the amendment.
Right, because the town can't influence people to vote a certain way. Me, I can go on my personal Facebook page and talk about it and tell them that I think it's the best thing for us to do. But I can't go on the town's Facebook page and say that. Okay, but this is that it will require 4 council people out of 5 to agree with any density change of less than 2 homes per acre, or more than 2 homes per acre. So that makes it pretty tough to get through no matter who sits here, which I'm all for, because, you know, you got the properties where they're doing a sidewalk now, there are 2 big properties there, and if they were to buy all the McQuaid property on 455 coming down the hill, you know, there's 30 acres there, plus the other McQuaid property on Highland, you know, you're getting up to 50 acres there, you know, 40 acres. That's a lot of land, so that's the only property that I see this is going to help us with, because the other 37.5 acres that's down Ridgewood that isn't, nobody's doing anything right now. The only person that's going to buy that property for the money they want is Bella Colina. So we know what Bella Colina is going to do. They're going to put a gate around it and pay us taxes. You know, so I'm not worried about that property. I'm worried about the property on Ridgewood, right there on the north side of Ridgewood. It's getting a sidewalk right now. This makes it really, really tough for any developer to buy that property and build more than 2 homes per acre. That's my piece. You guys, I'll open it up to the public. Okay, bring it back and open it up to council.
I had a real quick question.
Sure.
That says first hearing up here, but second reading. So I just want to clarify. Okay, all right. Just make sure.
Good eye.
That's all I had.
All right,
So once we vote on this, as a council, we can no longer discuss it. Okay, but we can, as a resident, discuss it with other residents. And don't, okay, or turn it inside out, yeah, whatever, okay. And just pitching it out there. All right, do you want to wait on this a month and take the opportunity to send out a mailing or something?
No, because we have certain requirements that NETA has to do to get it on the election.
Okay, so it's a
We
ticking
don't have
clock.
time.
It's a time clock. We
Okay,
have
okay.
to, once adopted, we have to get it translated into Spanish, send it to supervisor of elections.
And it's the process.
And I wouldn't advise
Doing
taking
that.
that chance of promoting it in that interim period, because that's really contrary to what statute.
I'll follow the law. Thank you very
Thank
much.
I already wrote it in this month's newsletter
Yeah.
on purpose.
Okay, yeah.
Are we, Anita, as individual council members and citizens allowed to put yard signs that say, hey, vote yes on, or?
Yeah.
You as an individual citizen, but not in any way representing yourself as a council member.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
So if we just put a sign in the yard that said support this, that's fine. Okay.
You'll see no correspondence from the town regarding this renewal information at all from the town about this, from the administration side.
So I personally am going to have 100 signs made up. So if you want one, call me.
Yes, if we're there, you bet. Put it in the yard. You bet.
All right, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2025-57.
So second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. If you would please, 2025-176.
It is up there if you want to do it up there.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, vacating portions of 6th Street, Franklin Avenue, 5th Street, and certain alleys in blocks 3, 4, and 7 in Division C, all as shown on the unrecorded plat of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, vesting of title, providing for severability, providing for conflicts and scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Second hearing.
Right. Everybody understands what this is, right? we're vacating those streets so we can have a bathroom.
Which you'll appreciate when you need one.
So, yeah, this will make all the various split-up pieces of the park into one platted lot. So when you pull up the GIS, you'll know right where the Montverde Park is. It'll be one continual site as you look at it. And again, this map does show that little piece in between those two houses. That's not included. That's not in your agenda or in the legal descriptions. That's just an error by the guy who drew it.
It's really the only property is the house next to the butterfly park. It's left to
Correct.
buy.
Yeah.
Because the butterfly park's right there where the house has been burned down. So it's the one in between, the two will be in between those. And once that person wants to sell it, we'll buy it and make that part of this. Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Bring it back. Any discussion? If not, we need a motion.
So moved. Resolution, there we go, 2025-176 be approved.
You need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. Ayes have it. And if you would, please, Anita, 2025-180.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, approving Fourth Amendment to interlocal agreement relating to provision of library services, authorizing the mayor to execute the amendment, providing for an effective date.
So this is pretty much the agreement we do every year for the library, right?
That's correct. Yeah, this is just for library service agreements where we get some funding through Lake County.
What is the funding at right now? 30,000?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
would Paul, next year, would it be more because we're a bigger library than what we used to be?
I doubt it. Used to
Just
be
asking.
used to be 50,000, but they did help us with a building.
Yeah,
$1.8 million.
Ended
so
up
we'll
being
complain
two.
about that.
It's going to be 30,000.
Yeah.
And we
Okay.
also, I think we get 57 cents per book circulated. So there's like a piece of pie. I don't know what the number is. I say it's $1 million, and they base out on circulation in different libraries. So there's some libraries that actually get $200,000 or $300,000. So we'll end up usually about 40-something thousand with our circulation status as well. So that's a part of that. So check
Alrighty.
your books out at your local library in Montverde when we get it. It helps the town.
Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Anybody have a problem with us signing an agreement with Lake County on the library, like we do every year? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. And if you don't have any questions or anything, just, I need a motion.
Let's move on to resolution number 2025-180 to be approved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Against, say nay. Ayes have it. And last but not least, 2025-181, if you would, please.
A
Anita.
resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, adopting a not-to-exceed millage rate of 2.8300, levying of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025 through 2026, and setting the date, time, and place of public hearing on the budget for fiscal year 2025-2026, providing for an effective date.
Okay, this is where we set the highest we're going to do as far as taxing, changing millage rate to, which we're not going to change at all. It's going to be 2.83. So that's the highest we're going to put. So I'll open it up to the public.
Which is the current rate we have, just to
Right.
be clear.
So in short, we're voting not to increase it.
No, we're voting to make it 2.83. You can't say that we're not.
Yes, got it.
Aaron Wadsworth, 17647 9th Street.
Nice shirt.
Thank you. I don't know where I got it. It just showed up one day. So we're keeping it the exact same as it is today right now.
Correct.
In theory, home valuations may have increased since the last valuation, therefore the overall tax revenue increases, which I'm fine with. I would propose that we take any additional revenue that's coming from increased valuations and direct it specifically at addressing the road infrastructure problems that we have. That would be my suggestion.
Well, that's next week budget. Actually, did you look at the amounts? You want to tell them? Just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
So the percentage increase is 6.54.
Right.
Yeah. And we do have increase in the road budgets.
What I've been lucky enough to see in the years I've been here is when the economy goes bad and the values at homes go down, that's when you're happy you did this. And it's kind of hard to follow until it does. Unfortunately, I was here and it didn't happen. And it really helped us a lot that we didn't adjust the rate like this every year. We just kept it at 2.83. It's been like that a very long time. And we can always raise it if we need to, but I really don't think we will. So I'll open it up to the public.
And council, I just want to make sure you understand what you're doing here. You are not setting the millage at this point. You're saying this is the maximum millage rate. So a lot of communities set it a whole mill higher than what they adopted. We know that we're going to keep it at 2.83.
We can make it lower than this.
You can.
Right now. If we set it at 2.83, we can make it lower. I doubt that's going to happen. Okay, I'll bring it back to council. If anybody doesn't have any questions or answers or wants to go home, we need a motion.
I actually like Aaron's idea, to be honest. I think that's something that if we're going to keep it the same, the millage rate the same, it's still a 6.5% increase. So this is still technically a tax increase.
Well, if we kept it, if we did that 2.83,
if we keep it at 2.83.
We haven't done the 2.83
yet. Right, I know.
We're setting the ceiling.
Right.
Yeah, but again, that comment from Aaron, the appropriate time for that would be during the budget process.
Right.
So this, we can't, we have to have a number to work with to even technically have our budget hearings. That's why we have this
And if you
number
don't
in.
want your phone to ring, you want to do 0.83.
No, right. I have, but yeah, with the speed bumps, I'm good. I don't need more phone calls coming in.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're at the next meeting, Aaron.
Yeah, come to the next meeting, and just remember too
budget.
that we're getting ready to put $20+ million into road projects, and even more as we're bringing money in more than the town's ever put in probably the last 20 years. Are going to be going into road projects.
Yeah.
So there's going to be quite a few.
That answers Mike's question. What are we going to do about the roads?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got stormwater money that's going to help us tremendously.
Yeah, we're probably going to be able to use some of that 8th, 9th, and Street part of the 455, 19 million project. We can move some of that to Broad or other streets.
And we're going to replace some pipes for our water with the 12.8, 12.5 million. We're going to be placing pipes in the road.
And that's true. We have pipes in the middle of some of the roads. You'll have to
blacktop over those.
Yeah, on a couple of those streets.
New blacktop.
And that's the challenge. We got to make sure we're planning so when we put a new asphalt road down and go with a backhoe and tear it back out. So, this town for roads, it will never, in the history of town, will never see as much as going on in the next 24 months as you're going to see going on.
Never again. Okay, so I need a motion or any more discussion? If you want to go home.
I'll bring it up at budget.
Huh?
I'll bring it up at budget.
Okay. Any motion? You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve resolution number 2025-181.
Second.
I got a second and a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. Ayes have it. Anybody got anything else?
I so move that we.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're gone. Amen. Man. Can you bring me these during the meeting so I can do them during the meeting? I don't want to do them.
It actually wasn't bad today, believe it or not.
No,
I've
these-
never seen it this good in
these.
3 or 4 years.